Hey, I'm Max Kaiser of Max and Stacy, and this is the Max and Stacy Invitational Golf Tournament interview with Jim Barrow.
Right, this is the good life right here in El Encanto in El Salvador, and you want to be here for the very first ever El Salvador Bitcoin Golf Invitational, hosted by Max and Stacy. I am Stacy Herbert. I am the director of the National Bitcoin Office of the President of El Salvador, and Max is a senior Bitcoin advisor. We're Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin since 2010.
Freedom! It all started at the Bitcoin Magazine conference in Nashville. I met some really avid golfers in the Bitcoin universe, and we got to talking, and I recently moved to El Salvador and here at the El Encanto Country Club, so it made sense to maybe do a tournament here. And so that's how it got started.
Max and I are always thinking for the past 3 years since we first moved here of how to create events that will encourage people from around the world to come visit El Salvador. And usually when they visit El Salvador, they either want to move here or invest here or buy real estate or do something like that. So this was something totally unique because we started out 3 years ago with doing some meetups down in Bitcoin Beach, El Zonte. Now more and more people do meetups. Then there's this notion of Bitcoin conference, and everybody does a Bitcoin conference now. There's hundreds of them around the world, but nobody has done a Bitcoin golf invitational in El Salvador.
Right, well, guests should expect a world-class golf competition, which is happening on the Saturday, and there's a warm-up round on Friday. And it's caught the attention, really, of the golf world. I believe even the Golf Channel of NBC will be covering this event. And other than that, the schmoozing that's happening poolside is like everything you like in a conference, but without the actual panels on stage to bore you to death. So we just have schmoozing and great food. You know, Encanto's got fantastic food. Chef Rick will be on hand with many exciting dishes to participate in and partake in. And then Friday night, there's a big dinner down in El Zonte at the Garten Hotel. And there's an awards dinner coming up on Saturday, and we give away the Orange Jacket. The Orange Jacket is the most coveted jacket award in all of golf. It's hand-stitched in Milan, Italy. It's a very high-end piece of haberdashery that has been commissioned exclusively for this event. The tailors will be on site to make sure that it fits perfectly for the winners of this tournament. So that's just a few of the highlights. There's a hole-in-one on the 16th hole. You can win a whole Bitcoin. So that's over $100,000 right there in prize money if you hit a hole-in-one on 16. They've got designer watches, Max and Stacy Invitational watches, as part of the prize package. So these are another high-end, exclusive, one-of-a-kind gift and award for this event. So this is just some of the high notes people can expect.
What should guests expect? Well, Max has done a pretty good job laying out in a very comprehensive manner there, but guests should also expect to find that strong men have created good times in El Salvador. And I think that they should expect to fall in love with El Salvador because everybody who comes here does.
Oh, it's definitely I would say too late, barring any cancellations at the last second. We sold out the golf part of the tournament in 40 minutes. And then we sold another, I think, 200 spectator tickets. And those have been sold out as well. There might be a few of those lying around, people last minute can't come, whatever. But for the most part, it's been sold out for a while. And, the hotels are booked, people are coming here, we've got shuttle buses, we've got the prizes, we've got the food, we've got the tournament, we've got the right mix of folks to engage in the premier Bitcoin event of 2025 will happen on January 10th and 11th right here at the El Encanto Country Club in El Salvador.
If you didn't book a ticket, then it's pretty much too late, but you know what? It's just the right time to buy your ticket for next year.
So you're letting us know that there will be a second tournament?
Yeah, tickets for 2026 will go on sale shortly. We're exactly, but soon, very soon. Okay. El Encanto is the perfect venue for the Max and Stacy Invitational Golf Tournament because it is the best golf course in El Salvador. It's only 20 minutes away from downtown San Salvador. It's about 7 miles away. It's on the way to the beach, so it's a great spot in between the city and the beach. And the people who are in charge here, the administration, the owners, they've been incredibly helpful, and they're super excited, because they're getting golfers from all over the world to come to this event. And this is kind of a hidden secret of El Salvador. People, when they see this incredible country club and golf course, it's not what they were expecting. So expectations will be stretched and reformed. This is really a world-class facility.
Visitors to the Max and Stacy Bitcoin Golf Invitational at El Encanto should expect also to fall in love with El Encanto. And you will fall in love with it and want to buy a property here. And they accept Bitcoin for their property. So that is always a benefit. They love Bitcoiners because Bitcoiners have found El Encanto, and they love the good life, and they love the good food here, and they love the good living. That mountain, right, that hill, we're calling it a mountain because this is real estate, you have to come up with something bigger and more fancy. So that's Bitcoin Mountain. They're calling it right now, is they plan on selling all those plots to Bitcoiners.
Here's an insider tip for people visiting El Encanto for the first time. When you go to the clubhouse at the bar, order a Coco Max. This is a drink that I invented. It's a coconut smoothie with a shot of espresso. And this is taken off like wildfire here at the club. It's the most popular smoothie drink, I believe, now that they offer. And they constantly are running out of it because people are ordering it. But it's absolutely refreshing. And you need a jolt for that back nine. You're down, you're shooting maybe 60 or 70,000 over par. And you need help. And this will get you there. Well, people should come to invest in El Salvador for the same reason people invested in Bitcoin and it was $10. El Salvador today is like Bitcoin at $10. It's just coming out of a 40-year bear market. It just went into a multi-decade super bull market. And of course, Bitcoin is legal tender. President Bukele is the most popular leader in the world. And everyone's feeling the love. People know that they've got a chance here to take this country to places that were only a few years ago before Bukele they dreamed of. Now those dreams are coming true, and you can feel it on the street. People are palpably very, very happy. They've been liberated, and it's a good time.
I think what people will find if they invest in El Salvador is it's more than just any sort of monetary consideration. It is being part of history. And what is a price tag on that? Like, what is the price tag on being able to transform Florence in the original Renaissance? Because what we're having here is Renaissance 2.0. So if you think about what would you pay to be at a table sitting there with Lorenzo the Magnificent and Botticelli and Michelangelo and Da Vinci and Machiavelli and sitting there having dinner, and like how much would you pay? That experience is like a lifetime, right? That is like the pinnacle of experience. And that's what you're going to have here, because you're going to be part of history, because what is happening here in El Salvador will be talked about in 500 years. So if you want to be maybe a footnote, but you'll still be in there. In that paragraph or that book in 500 years that kids are learning in school, they're going to be learning about what happened in El Salvador Renaissance 2.0.
Well, as far as buying real estate with Bitcoin, of course, people are beginning to figure out that you don't spend your Bitcoin, but you can use it as collateral to borrow against it. And now here in El Salvador, you have the opportunity, for example, those who used this technique this past year, their basis has dropped by 50% because Bitcoin's up 100%, and the value of the property is up another 10 or 20%, right? So this is the way you got to do it. Never spend your Bitcoin, but as collateral. I mean, that market is now developed. A few years ago it wasn't developed, and it wouldn't be necessarily the play. But now that the institutions and major institutions have entered the space, and they do offer legitimate products that would allow you to do this, that's the best way to do it.
Well, if you want to buy property with Bitcoin, you're free to. Like, hey, I bought an iPhone for 14 Bitcoin at one point. I'm not going to do that sort of thing again. But you can buy property here with Bitcoin because it's Bitcoin country and everybody wants some of your Bitcoin. I think you'll see, everybody talks about adoption and whether merchants are using it. I think you're going to see a mad rush into that, especially for high ticket items like property. but they're going to have to offer you a big discount if they want to get your Bitcoin, right? They're going to need to offer a 20% discount on the US dollar over the US dollar price if they want you to pay in Bitcoin. They're not doing that yet because they're seeing it as equal, but I think you're going to start to see that as people cotton on that, hey, had I just offered a 20% discount a year ago when it was $30,000, I would now be sitting on gains of 100 and something percent. So I should have just offered that discount. Well, what I find is that Bitcoiners come to El Salvador kind of like, a pilgrimage, right? Every Bitcoiner has to come to Bitcoin country. And you see all the time people posting their photos from the airport. Because why? They paid for their $12 visa with Lightning, right? And it's exciting. It's exciting to see the practical, deployment of Bitcoin throughout the country. So Bitcoiners obviously love to spend stuff on small ticket items, I think. But, there are some who are paying for properties with Bitcoin.
Well, the first thing that you will notice in El Salvador is the coffee. It's better than any other coffee.
True.
And it redefines coffee, the coffee experience. So that's number one. Number two, you'll notice that the birds are very aggressive and they like to make very interesting tropical sounds that are quite beautiful. That's the two things I've noticed.
And the good thing is, for people who are arriving to El Salvador for the first time, Max is correct that the coffee is quite uniquely good. And he's saying that because we literally just arrived late last night, woke up this morning with a huge headache from having been away from the country for 4 days to go to Michael Saylor's New Year's Eve party. And you know what? The coffee was way too weak in the US, and we had some serious withdrawal. We came here and we had some Bean of Fire volcano coffee made in El Salvador. And that's the good thing as well, is if you're coming to this Max and Stacy Bitcoin Golf Invitational, Bean of Fire is a sponsor, and there will be all sorts of Bean of Fire drinks, straight up espresso or mocktails, cocktails, all these sort of fancy drinks made of coffee as well.
Well, yeah, we were, I think, in the first wave of people to come. We came in late 2021, and the change has been remarkable, and it changes every few months. So there's really the boom that's going on all across every metric of the economy: tourism, property markets, the infrastructure. The president and his team are great at having all of the money that's collected from the government goes right back into the economy. It is a circular economy, just like Bitcoin Beach is a circular economy for Bitcoin. El Salvador is a circular economy for real, where the government is constantly seeking to minimize their role and to maximize the benefits to the population by getting greater and greater share of their own wealth that they are generating. And entrepreneurialism is really taken off here. And in Central America, in El Salvador, it's a lot like America, where there's the attitude of, yes, I can succeed. It's different than Europe. Europe tends to be very state-focused and state, welfare state, and you don't have that same kind of entrepreneurialism, but you do have it here. And there's just a growing awareness. I think one of the most interesting and fascinating stories I can tell you comes from one of Stacy's programs called the Kubo Plus. It's an educational program. And these are students that are young, and they're high school students or younger. And they went through this program, and when they went abroad to countries in Europe and they met people, and these people that they had never met, who were part of, let's say, a European, high-end European town, would say, "You're from El Salvador. That's incredible. Tell me about it. Your president's so great." And it was at that moment they're like, "What the? Oh my God! Oh, it's all true." And I think seeing that was like seeing the whole cycle. The whole circle was completely complete. And now it's, when you have a circle, you roll. Now it's roll. They're rolling and rolling and rolling.
So what is different since the time we came here in 2021 and now 2025? So this is our fourth Christmas, our fourth New Year's here. And, the huge difference is that the transformation of El Salvador under President Bukele has put El Salvador on the map. People know the name of El Salvador. I wear this hat all the time. And when I land in Paris, or when I land in, Colombia or Abu Dhabi, people say, El Salvador. 5, 6, 7 years ago, people would have been like, if they knew of El Salvador, they would have been like, ooh, thank God you got out, right? You escaped. Now people want to escape to El Salvador. They want to come to El Salvador. And I think that sort of, the domestic population, their mindset is shifting. They're feeling more confident. They're feeling optimistic. They're feeling joyful. But overseas, the perception of El Salvador has transformed just as much. Like, they now look at El Salvador as hope for them, hope for the United States, hope for Canada, hope for Europe. Everybody says President Bukele's name, and they say his name, and they know his name, and they know El Salvador then. They know the story of El Salvador. And if you're building a Renaissance 2.0, that is really important that people know your name.
The next chapter for Bitcoin country. It's really about other countries adopting the Bukele model and the Bukelenomics of security and Bitcoin. These two things are remarkable because you are opening the floodgates of entrepreneurialism by making the country now the most secure in the Western Hemisphere, if soon to be the world. Plus, you've got Bitcoin as legal tender, and Bitcoin, of course, is unconfiscatable. And those who are working hard to make a few Bitcoin can put those safely stored away, and no one can take it from them. No government, no company, no gang member. It's theirs forever. It's unconfiscatable wealth. So this is a country that, for the first country in the world, that's being built on this idea of decentralization of the entire monetary status of the country with unconfiscatable wealth. And this is why people are starting to really wake up to the fact that they don't have enough Bitcoin.
What's next for Bitcoin country is you're going to see proof of work. And that's really important, right? Proof of work. We put in many hours of work and effort and built a solid foundation for El Salvador over these past 3 years. And we have put in all the work that you're going to see the results compound. Every year, it's going to get more extraordinary. And now that the United States, like the most powerful country on earth, is also looking to El Salvador as an example, they're following President Bukele's lead. Now that they're considering a strategic Bitcoin reserve, now that Canada looks like they might have a Bitcoin-friendly prime minister come in soon, in a few months from now, you're going to see that sort of compounding effect of being the leader, being the first mover, and what that means that we were first. We do have domestic policies that we're implementing, like our Bitcoin bank law and things like that. But in terms of being a leader, a global leader, I mean, the world really is the oyster for El Salvador. All Salvadorans, the world is your oyster. And I really think you're going to see these effects echo out, ripple out into the future 500 years from now because of what President Bukele has done over the past few years. If you were one of the unlucky few to not get a ticket to the Max and Stacy Bitcoin Golf Invitational, you should still come because you know what? There are going to be a lot of cool people here in El Salvador for the event, and they're going to be touring. There's a bunch of tours. People are going downtown. People are going to El Zante. There's all sorts of stuff. So, come in and make it here because you're going to get the vibe anyway. We're going to be vibing so hard right here. It's going to vibrate out across San Salvador, down to El Zante, out to Sonsonate and La Union, all over this place. The waves are going to be rocking. Like, if you surf, go there and surf because the vibrations from here up in the mountain, it's going to get down to the ocean and like cause some nice waves.
How many people do you think will fall in love, buy a house, and never get back, never leave?
30%.
That's a high number.
No, 100%, 100%. Based on experience of the past 3 years of having dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come here, 100% of people who come will fall in love with El Salvador. 100% of them will try to buy a place here or want to move here. And at least 50%, maybe 30% will succeed in moving here. And you know what? The Good Life, SV, they could help you move here.